Hey everyone. Okay, so I just did a video about how to keep science simple for your younger kids, and I thought I'd also just touch on history as well, since that's another area that I think as homeschool moms or homeschool parents, we tend to get a little bit overwhelmed with what should we teach for history or social studies, and do we need curriculum? Do we need to follow a lesson plan? So I'm just going to show a little bit about what I've done through the years with my kids and what I'm doing right now with my youngest, who is 6. But I have kids that are almost done with college. So this is just what I've learned over the years on how to keep things simple and not get overwhelmed or feel like you need to rush out there and buy a bunch of curriculum. Now, I will preface this to say that we do use classical conversations, so we do have kind of an outline for our year of topics that we're going to, be exposed to. Each week in our CC community, we will have a history sentence, which is just kind of like a history topic, that we will memorize, just a simple question and an answer, almost kind of like a catechism style. So, we will do that. I was going to see if I have my Foundations Guide out in front of me, but I don't. But anyway, so for example, a week might be tell me about Columbus or tell me about Charlemagne, something like that. What are the 7 wonders of the ancient world? Those types of things. And then we would memorize a sentence that would give the answer to that. So that kind of becomes what my topics are for the week. So if you're not part of Classical Conversations or something to kind of give you a history focus for the year, then you get to pick your own. You can pick your own topics. You can decide on like ancient history and medieval history, modern world, US history, whatever it is you want to cover. So, but no matter what it is, if you don't have an idea of what you want to cover, that's okay too, because you can find some really great history resource books that you probably already have on your shelf, and you can just use those. So no need to go out and buy a whole curriculum. So I'm going to give you some examples. These are some of my favorites over the years. As you can tell, this particular book has gotten a lot of use. I mean, the back cover is now off, and it's not because this was a poor quality book, but because I have used this book for about 16 years. And it's one of those that come out, not necessarily daily, but definitely weekly for our history. This kind of goes in my history basket, which I guess I can do a video about as well, but and this is kind of a go-to reference book. So this is the Usborne Internet-Linked Encyclopedia of World History. This is an old version, obviously. There is an updated version. But I was trying to see even what year this was, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what you have. But I have this. I have a DK version as well. I like the Usborne for the younger grades. I like the DK version. You can bring that in for kind of the upper grades. It's just a little bit more advanced reading. But this is one of my favorites. What we do for history, whatever our topic is that we're going to study that week or that month, is we just learn how to learn. So, hey, we're going to learn about Columbus or Charlemagne or whatever, Native American Indians. How do we find information? And so we learn about how to go to a resource and how to look up in the index or the table of contents and find that information. So sometimes when they're younger, I go ahead and find the information first, and then I'll have the page numbers and all of that already picked out. But as they get a little older, I let them follow me along in that process because it teaches them how to research. So for example, if we were going to study Egypt, which we will touch on this year, then this might be a page that we read. And just like what I put in my science video is just read good information. Now this is more like an encyclopedia reference book. So you can see there's beautiful pictures, diagrams, illustrations, maps, anything like that, and all kinds of information, but it's broken up into small little bite-sized pieces. So that's a great tool to have with the younger grades, because they're not going to sit around and necessarily listen to you read about farmers of the Nile Valley for an hour, right? So, hey, let's read about their crops or their animals or how they divided their year in growing seasons. What did it look like? And we can look at the pictures and all of the little, things that point to the different parts of the pictures and explain that. Because this is an internet-linked encyclopedia, it also has a thing at the top that tells me where to go and find information on the internet as well that goes along with it if I want to. So what do you do with that? Well, all I do is we read together, we look at the pictures, and then we talk. Oh my gosh, well, that was so cool. What did we learn that we didn't know? I didn't know that they did that. I didn't know that they grew that. I didn't know that those people lived at the same time as these other people. Whatever it might be that's interesting to them. They might focus on the fact that there was hippopotamus in the crocodiles in the Nile River. Whatever is interesting to them. And so we're going to talk about that, and then they're going to record some information in a notebook, just like we do with science. So I might get, matter of fact, hold on. This is going to be my totally raw, unedited video too. A notebook like this, which I love because it's blank at the top and it has lines at the bottom, and this, because it's a primary journal, it has like the 3 lines. You can use anything you want. Blank computer paper, notebook paper, it doesn't matter. But the point is that they would write down some ideas. So they might give me some ideas and I write down some sentences based on what they're saying, and they copy those into their notebook, or they can write on their own, whatever stage they're at. And then we can illustrate that at the top. And so they can copy a picture from the book that we read. They can print something off of the internet if they don't like to draw. You can use it as some drawing practice. There's all kinds of wonderful books. In this case, I might pull up a video or a book that has how to draw a pyramid or something like that. We might use some geography and how to draw a map of the area that we're studying. So we would add that illustration. We would add that illustration at the top, and then he or she would have this great notebook of history. And I have a whole blog post on this that I'll link down below that gives you actual pictures from my older kids of what they were doing and what their notebooks look like for both science and history when we did this every week. And what was really great is it put together basically a portfolio of their history and or their science studies by the end of the year. So that's one resource you can use for history. You can literally just pick a section, an era, and just go through here page by page and let that be your history for the year. I mean, if you did that even twice or once a week and did, 90 days, 90 pages out of this a year, that would be so much history that you would cover. So, you can just simply use something like this as your lesson plan, as your scope and sequence for the year. So what about some other ideas? Other ideas are just any sort of random books. So I think I got this at the dollar store. They have these like Explore the Past books. They had all different ones. They even had some science ones that I got about different animals and things like that. So this is Questions and Answers Ancient History. Well, we're doing ancient history this year. It has this great table of contents there. Well, if you wanted to make this year all about ancient history, this table of contents becomes a great scope and sequence, a great lesson plan outline for your year. You can do Mesopotamia, Egypt, India, and China, ancient Greece, ancient Rome. I mean, it goes through all of those. As a matter of fact, we're going to be learning about almost every one of these this year in Classical Conversations. So, what a great, inexpensive resource. Page, basic information. It has a question and an answer. What did the Mesopotamians do for a living? You could have a lot of fun with this because you could literally ask the question before you read it and say, what do you think they did? And get their answers. Why did Mesopotamians build boats? What do you think? Why do you think they built boats? And then read and then discuss. There he goes again. I told him to put his headphones on because I was making a video. What is a ziggurat? So all of these are great little fun ways you can ask the question, see what they already know about the item, and then read the answer and then learn. And there's great pictures and illustrations that they could copy up on the top part of their paper. And they can write down maybe their favorite question and answer or some of the things they learned that they didn't know. So again, a simple book like this, it literally cost me $1 and it has all kinds of great information. This one book, I mean, it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 weeks you could do based on the 14 chapters of study. I mean, that's like a whole semester. Okay, so that's another thing. Another book, I also got this at the dollar store a long time ago. Actually, no, I got this at Barnes & Noble's in their little $5 spot section. And this is just all the different wonders of the world. So it's a really fun book. It goes through things like the Everglades and the Galapagos Islands and the Golden Gate Bridge, the Great Barrier Reef, the International Space Station, and then some of the like more the Northern Lights. I mean, just things that you wouldn't necessarily think of. Old Faithful, things all around the world. The Panama Canal. And again, you read about them, you talk about them, you write information down, and you draw. Another great resource is this, Everything You Need to Know About World History. They have this for every subject and every type of history. And it's missing the corner here, but it is elementary, like kindergarten through 6th grade. And again, everything is already in here, and you just read the sections. So again, very simple. Pick a section, pick a topic, read about it, talk about it. If you want to read from different sources throughout the week as your kids are a little bit older, you can maybe read, you know, if you're going to do this 2 or 3 days a week, do history, you might read something from this book one day and find something from this book that goes along with it, find something from this book another day. So you got 3 days worth of reading. And then take notes from each of those 3 days. I used to put it up on a big whiteboard, and we would write down a few key things, key ideas from each day's reading. And then at the end of the week, we would put those all together. Now, of course, my kindergarten or 1st grader, not necessarily going to go that in depth, but that's how you would grow with it. And then at the end of the week, those upper elementary kids can take all of that information that you've kind of collaborated and put together on the whiteboard and put it in their own words and write a few sentences about what they learned about ancient Greece, and then do their illustration on the last day of the week. So that is just a really simple way of doing history. Any history you want. You don't need a box curriculum. You don't need to go buy a bunch of resources and things like that. You probably have enough things on your shelf. If you have a kids type encyclopedia and one other book, you've got enough information on your shelf that you can go forward. You can also, of course, print things off of online from kids' websites. And then for those that like a lot of hands-on things, these history pockets that they have for different ages and different themes is another fun way just to kind of bring it alive if you have those kids that like those hands-on building and cutting and pasting and coloring type things. So I highly suggest just keeping it simple. If you want something that helps you to keep it simple and basic with real books like this, but also does give you a little bit more of a lesson plan, then I do have history lesson plan guides available in my store, and I'll put those links down below. And they're very easy to follow. We use history pockets and encyclopedias and story of the world and some good read alouds and put them together so that you kind of have a plan that way. But again, simply keeping it to a book or two, read, enjoy, explore, do some notebooking, draw some pictures, and then share the stories with Dad when he comes home or other family members so that they are able to express their ideas is really all you need to do. So I hope you have a fun year.